And here is Mr. Bernstein.
My dear young friends, on our last program, we devoted so much time to introducing our new Philharmonic Hall to you and to introducing you to the new science of acoustics that we didn't get to talk very much about music. So today, we're going to make up for lost time and talk about the meat and potatoes of music, the main course, which is melody. Now, to some people, music and melody are the same thing. It's the whole meal, so to speak. When you think of music, you think of melody right away. And they're right in a way, because what is music anyway, except sounds that change and move along in time? And that's practically a definition of melody, too. A series of notes that move along in time, one after another. Well, if that's true, then it's almost impossible to write music that doesn't have melody in it. I mean, if a melody is simply one note coming after another, how can a composer avoid writing melodies if he just writes notes? He must write melodies all the time. For example, he writes one note, then he writes another. Well, that's already a sort of melody. It's a two-note melody, sort of. Then we add another note. Well, it's already a little more melodious, isn't it? But if he then adds a few more, well, we've got Mendelssohn's Wedding March. See how simple it is? Where there's music, there's melody. Can't have one without the other. Well, then why do so many people complain about music that has no melody? Some people say they don't like Bach fugues because they don't find them melodic. And others say the same thing about Wagner operas, and others about modern music, and others about jazz. What do you suppose they mean when they say it's not melodic? What are they talking about? Isn't any string of notes a melody? Well, I think the answer is in the fact that melody can be a lot of different things. It can be a tune, or it can be a theme, or a motive, or a long melodic line, or a bass line, or an inner voice, all those things. And the minute we understand the difference among all those kinds of melody, then I think we'll be able to understand the whole problem. You see, people usually think of melody as a tune, something you can go out whistling, that's easy to remember, that sticks in your mind. What's more, a tune almost never goes out of the range of the normal human singing voice, that is, too high or too low. Nor should a tune have phrases that last longer than the normal breath can sing them. After all, melody is the singing side of music, just as rhythm is the dancing side. But the most important thing about a tune is usually that it's complete in itself. It seems to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it leaves you feeling satisfied. In other words, it's a song, like Gershwin's Summertime, or Schubert's Serenade, or your favorite Elvis Presley number. But in symphonic music, which is what we're mostly concerned with here, tunes aren't exactly in order, because since they're complete in themselves, tunes don't cry out for further development. And as I hope you remember from former programs of ours, development is the main thing in symphonic music, the growing of a melodic seed into a big symphonic tree. So that seed mustn't be a complete tune, but rather a melody that leaves something still to be said, to be developed. And that kind of melody is called a theme. Well, that's already a problem for those people who are always expecting music to consist of full-blown tunes. So they naturally find these incomplete themes less melodic, let's say. I suppose then they should complain about the famous four-note theme that opens Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. That's hardly melodic at all. Or about this theme from his Seventh Symphony, which is mostly harping on the same note. But both of those themes are kind of melodies, even though they're not tunes. That's the important thing to remember. They're not tunes, but they're themes. Now, of course, there are symphonies